this is a little bit of this is the time now, and I mean that in a lot of different ways, but as a lot of other people's spring balls end, we have an opportunity to keep pushing. And as we came out today, there was a little bit less emotion and energy than I wanted, and we actually ended a little bit early just because of sheer fact of we weren't going to go a 2-minute situation there at the end. It's just as you start to get a little bit thin up front on the offensive line, but we got to continue. This is a, I mean, you guys heard me say it. This is a grown man's league. And we got to prepare and practice like grown men. And I know that's hard. We got a lot of incoming freshmen that are here. I think 13 of them that are early enrollees, and they could be heading to prom this weekend. But they're in practice 11 and day 28 of 34, and there's a great expectation for them in all that we do. So I think that this is the grind time right here that we got to do a really, really good job, because we can't give it any days back. And I don't mean that because we missed some things in December. We're where we need to be, but we got to find a way to be able to push through these days and make sure that we continue to grow in these last 9 days. Not 9 practices, but about 9 days left of the 20 hours that we can get and really spend time with these guys. So we got a ways to go. And I like where we are with some of the older guys, but we got to develop some of these younger guys, and we got to take this time and use it really well.
You talked about the depth of the offensive line. How's Haywood, and are you expecting him?
No, I don't know. I think obviously I think he's going to have surgery, so it's probably a good, probably going to lose him, and probably not going to get him back, obviously, even for the season. So that was one that's going to be really difficult and tough. But it's also a part of the game. We've been fortunate up front in the last 2 seasons to have those guys prepared and be able to last through the season. And now we got to have to figure out how we're going to manage some of that and move some guys around and expect some other guys to step up, whether it's Leighton Nelson and Emerson Mandel and guys like that got to step in.
Is it an ACL or what?
Yeah.
Is there any thought maybe to moving Joe or Riley to serve that spot? Okay.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of ability to move. Right now, in where we are offensively and what we want to continue to do, it's really difficult to do that. Even a Riley or a Joe at this moment, like, we have to give other guys opportunities to step up. They've been here for a while. They deserve that chance and that opportunity. And then as we get into the summer, we'll figure out how we're going to be able to fit that and what's going to be best for us, because we got a lot of time to get guys into positions. To me, it's still about understanding the whole and making sure we're not taking any steps backwards when you have injuries. So we'll move forward.
I know you're focusing on this team, but are there any positions you feel like you have to address because of attrition or lack of depth when you evaluate this portal?
I mean, we'll see here. This is we don't really know what to expect with this next winter, to be honest. I mean, everybody can say, oh yeah, this Wednesday or the portal things, but you got really no idea what to expect. So we're going to take it day to day and continue to evaluate the things we need to do. But we feel really good about the guys we got within the program, and it's an opportunity for somebody else to step up, play a lot of plays, and get a lot of experience, and then we'll be able to assess kind of from there.
With the settlement kind of still hanging out there, the house settlement, does that make it hard to know what to expect? Is the roster limit is still kind of
yeah, I mean, I think the hardest thing about that is some of the guys within your program, that even in the winter we had some conversations with, to say, hey, I don't know what this thing's going to go to. If it goes to 105, we're going to have to make some tough decisions. And so there are some guys, I think, that could be looming in their head. But for us, I try to say, look, we don't need to address that right now. We don't need to think we got to move on, or we need to continue to build the things we've got. If they do make this decision, if it does come down, and it is, across the board, meaning everybody's going to have to apply conform to it, and there's going to be obviously somebody paying attention and making sure everybody's on the same page, then we'll address that. So no, we can't go about doing the things and building the things expecting ourselves to have to cut down, but I know that could be difficult on some guys where they're curious as to what's going to happen, what their opportunities are going to be.
It seems like you've gotten ahead of that, you've had those conversations.
We have, and just trying to be forthright, and just trying to be we care about all these kids and everybody, especially the guys that have been here for a while. And if and when they do go to that, there's going to have to be some tough decisions made, and it's not going to be easy. And we don't know the parameters to it all. We don't know what that entails, and can guys be in the waiting? Can they still be a part of something? We have no idea. So for us to jump too far ahead, other than just being really honest and open with guys and making sure they know what we feel and where we are with things, but not making any decisions.
You talked about guys getting a lot of extra opportunities with things that are going on. Tucker Ashcraft seems like he's having maybe one of his better setup practices since he's been here. What steps did he take in the offseason to really kind of fit this offense and stuff?
Well, he's embraced some things you're going to do different, and I think it really kind of fits him well. If you really look at what he needs to do to not only be a great player for us, but to play at the next level, this is it. And his opportunities and his ability to develop in all areas, as opposed to one specific area. So I think for him, we got to be careful because there's a lot of opportunities there. He's done a great job. He's the leader of that group, but we also don't want to wear him out too. And so he's had a little ankle here and there, and tried to be smart to make sure we're getting all those guys enough opportunities. But he's got to be the guy that kind of leads that group and make sure he sets the standard in that room.
Have any of your guys, as far as the portal goes, already told you, hey?
We're not going to talk about that right now. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you could ask specific names, and this isn't for everybody, right? This is a grown-ass man's league, and this is a grown man's game. And if guys don't understand that, and this isn't the right thing for them, like, we're not. It is what it is, and I think that's what's a little bit harder on some. But sometimes having options isn't always the best thing for guys to grow, but sometimes it's the best thing for them. And whatever we kind of come across here in the next few days, we're going to continue to practice. We're going to continue to push. We're going to continue to develop the guys that are within here and the guys that understand what it takes to climb this mountain and to play in this league.
As you approach the end of spring practice, just where do you feel like the offense is, just in terms of adapting to the new scheme, the new coordinators?
I think it's also where's the defense. I mean, adapting and seeing some different things. So I think as a whole, I think it has helped us in a lot of ways grow to some of the things that we want to do, whether it's the scheme offensively or even the scheme defensively. I'm not going to shy away from it. Like the league is different, and I mean that in 8, 9, 10 years ago when I left this league. Or I don't know how many years ago when I played in this league or coached in this league, I can honestly say in the last 2 years this league is different. And it is a grown man's league, and you got to be able to prepare that way, and you got to be, you got to develop that way. And so whatever that means for us, we have to continue. That's why I said we get 34 days to get 15 practices in, and we get to find out who really has the dedication, the discipline, and has, as a grown man to be able to handle 34 days, because when we get to the season, it's a lot longer than 34 days, and they all matter.
Different in regards to just being a stronger league now?
Well, it's a strong. Everybody would just say, well, the addition of teams. I think the addition of what the league has become, meaning, whether it's some transfers, whether it's older guys in general, it's grown men, and across the board. And I think that everybody has to understand that. Every guy in our program has to understand that. It's not just, we got a tough schedule. No, it's called the league. And it's not going to go the other direction. So, we've got to make sure we are prepared and understand that.
Where's Emilio Agard maybe improve his game? Because it seems like just the confidence out there.
Well, I think that there's what it is. Emilio's an aggressive kid. Emilio is a guy that's still undersized in some ways, meaning just his weight. I don't mean, his heart and his mind. But he had gotten himself to a point where we felt like, hey, he's going to be able to hold up because he is an aggressive kid. And so I think you see that combination of that confidence, but also the confidence in his body to be able to play the way he wants to play. And so you continue to see him grow. And another one of those guys that's getting an incredible amount of opportunities because, Rico and Nye are the guys for us, but they played a lot of football. So this gives it. It gives Emilio and it gives Jay and it gives some of these other guys a chance to go in there, play against the ones, and have an expectation, just like it'll be on Saturdays come the fall.
Can you assess Jackson Akers' performance in spring and just his general transition to a new?
I love where Jack is, and I think as much as anybody that in my 2.5 years have seen somebody grow, Jackson has grown, in my opinion, as much as anybody in the program. And I think there's some new things for him, obviously, maybe, just on how we're able to use him and some things he's asked to be able to do. And even from the start of spring, you'd say a fourth or fifth year guy, how much are they going to grow in spring football? And he's continued to grow in spring football. And I love where he's at. I'm excited to see what else we can do with him and how we'll be able to use him. And I think it'll be quite unique with his skill set as well.
Gideon Atuka, he's gotten a lot of work, and we talked about the other running backs. I'm wondering what your thoughts on what he's been doing and what kind of pops out about him.
I was curious to see, right? I mean, I was curious to see how Gideon would handle this spring. technically maybe being the third guy in that room or the fourth guy in that room with some older guys and Dylan and Darion. And he's done nothing but kind of come out and compete, not say a word, take every one of these opportunities like a grown man. And he is a lot further along than I think I would ever have thought. And I think as we talked about it, even about it yesterday, I mean, we got the utmost confidence in him, whether he's the 1, 2, or 3 back, whatever that is in the midst of what we've got. But we're feeling better and better about that room, and a lot of it's because of Gideon.
Luke, a lot of talk obviously about getting bigger in the front seven. Are you starting to see the early returns of that?
Well, we'll see, but yes, I mean, on a daily basis, we do see it. I don't think it shouldn't be that hard for all of us to see it. Now, there's another step that we've got to be able to do. It's just bigger is not always, what wins. It's physicality as well. But the bigger you are, the more you can hold up. But we still got to continue to train and understand what physicality really looks like. And I think that's where I kind of said the whole of spring football has given us a better chance to assess ourselves, whether it's an individual or us as a whole, as a team, offense or defense.
I know you like competition everywhere. Do you feel like Devin Lom's given Fickell some competition to that place kicking spot?
Yeah. Lom has done a great job. And to be honest with you, Veikos has done a great job. And it's going to be one of those ones that we're going to have to figure it out. I don't know that either one just wants to be a kickoff specialist, and I respect that. And we got to do a really good job to be able to keep both those guys, because where they both have a really unique skill set, there still is a little bit different. Lom by nature does have a bigger leg on some of those really long ones, but Veikos just the other day, was pretty consistent with his 55 yards as well. So another kind of spot that gives you some confidence in what it is you're doing.
Talking about guys heading to pros, would you include Jamel Howard in that?
Yes. Jamel in the last 4 months has taken some really big steps, and I'm sure that you guys see it a little bit in the game, but also in what he does when he walks off the field as well. And sometimes that's the hard thing about this game today. It's becoming such a business-oriented, and things happen so fast that sometimes young guys, don't get some opportunities to grow up. And I'm not saying that we're going to give everybody 2.5 years or whatever, but what he's done in the last 4 months compared to what he did even in the first 2 years, it's very noticeable. Obviously, that's why you're asking, but I can tell you from within, it's very noticeable from our perspective too.
He had that stretch where he was in the portal briefly and came back. Were there any conversations that went into, what did you say to a guy that maybe helped convince him to stick around?
Well, again, it's not about convincing guys. I think that's the thing. When a guy wants to leave, you have honest conversations with him, and you can't coach hostages. And I think that, I'll give him credit. He went about it the right way. He communicated. He talked about it, and he's got some good guidance at home with his uncle that we had some deep conversations. And he maybe made a decision that was a little bit hasteful. And as long as guys handle things the right way, there's plenty of opportunities. And I can honestly say, he's taken advantage of the last 6 months. And whether he's made a decision then changed his mind, everybody has an opportunity. And whether that opportunity is always guaranteed to you or not, you got to take advantage of it. And I can honestly say that maybe that was something that helped him grow in some ways, and to recognize some things that maybe he'd taken for granted over the last 1.5 years or almost 2 years. But he's in a much better place, and he's done an incredible job over the last 4 months.